Welcome to the Unstressed Exec, the podcast where we dive deep into the real conversations that help you lead, love, and live with greater clarity, courage, and calm. I'm your host, Dr. George Vergolias, executive coach and clinical forensic psychologist, and I help high-achieving professionals navigate life transitions, resolve conflict with confidence, and build unshakable psychological resilience. So if you're ready to lead with purpose, master conflict with grace, and become more emotionally agile under pressure, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Unstressed Exec, where we talk about how to perform, lead, and live with clarity, calm, and confidence, even when life feels like it's coming apart at the seams. I'm your host, Dr. George Vergolias, forensic psychologist, executive and resilience coach, and someone who has spent over 2 decades helping people navigate interpersonal conflict, both in daily and high-stress settings. Before we dig in, a quick note. If you're finding value in these episodes and you want to go deeper, I advise you to check out my workbook, The Conflict Whisperer, From Triggered to Transformed, a no BS guide to managing conflict in every relationship. It's packed with real-world strategies, over 75 reflection exercises, and neuroscience-backed tools to help you navigate conflict without losing your cool, at work, at home, or in moments of personal crisis. Whether you're going through a breakup, managing tension with a partner, or leading under pressure, this workbook gives you a practical roadmap to turn conflict into clarity. From conflict to clarity. Today's topic is one of my favorites. It's deceptively simple but profoundly powerful. As many people might say, it's simple but not easy. And the topic is the productive pause, slowing down in order to speed up. And what I want to start with is to talk about the myth of constant motion. And I imagine most of us have felt this at some point in our careers. In modern culture, we glorify speed, quick decisions, rapid scaling, instant results. But here's the paradox. The faster we go, the more mistakes we make, and the more emotional and cognitive debt we accumulate. The other thing that we do is we block out other opportunities that are coming to us because we're moving so fast. We don't have time to be aware of them, to recognize them, or to process them as opportunities. As a psychologist and coach, I see it constantly. Leaders who are overbooked, overstimulated, and under-reflected. They're in motion all the time, but not necessarily in momentum. They're wearing the statement, "I'm so busy, I'm swamped," as a badge of honor or a badge of courage. It's neither. There's a big difference between being productive and being purposeful. The productive pause, whether it's in 90 seconds or taking off a whole afternoon, is what allows you or allows your nervous system and your cognition to catch up with your ambition. It's not idleness, it's strategy. I'm going to give you an example of that. And I'm going to give you an example of that. For those of you following regularly on this podcast, you'll note that the last 2 weeks, I didn't drop anything. 1 week, I was sick. I really was just completely out of it. I thought of dropping something, but my voice was so cashed, it wasn't worth recording. The next week, I actually took the week off. And when I take the week off, I truly pause. I arrange things in my life so things can be on autopilot. And unless absolutely the roof is on fire, my team doesn't call me. And that's how I structure it. That is a true example of taking that productive pause. So we talked a little bit about the myth of constant motion and what the price we pay for it. Let me talk about the neuroscience behind the pause. Why is this helpful? Why is this relevant? What's the science that backs this up? So the question is, what's actually happening when you pause? From a neuroscientific perspective, the pause creates what's called neuroflexibility. When you're stressed or triggered, your amygdala hijacks your brain, flooding your system with adrenaline and cortisol. Your thinking narrows, your empathy drops, and your decisions become reactive. But when you stop, even briefly, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That pause re-engages your prefrontal cortex. It's that part of the brain responsible for logic, creativity, and self-regulation. Research from Harvard's Dr. Herbert Benson calls this the relaxation response. It's not just relaxation for the sake of calm, it's physiological precision that restores access to higher reasoning. Put simply, when you pause, You upgrade your decision-making software. And in conflict, that's the difference between escalation and mastery. Next, I want to talk about the pause, regulate, reflect model. That's a mouthful. It's the pause, regulate, reflect model. In the Conflict Whisperer, my workbook that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, I talk about a simple but powerful model called pause, regulate, reflect. It's the process of slowing your internal state before you act, especially in high stakes moments. Why is this critical? Well, this is critical because when you think about the bag of tools that you have at your disposal for regulating your nervous system, for maintaining good conflict regulation, for staying calm, what is your bag of tools? Think of a carpenter. They have tools. They have a screwdriver and a hammer, and they have a jigsaw, and they have, other tools that they use, right? You think of a dentist. They have various tools to get into your mouth. You think of a surgeon. They have a scalpel, and they have suction, and they have other machines and tools that they use. Well, to regulate your nervous system, to manage your conflict, the tool that you're using is yourself. It's your thoughts, it's your feelings, it's your body, it's your awareness of those. It's the knowledge base that you have for conflict resolution and what you're bringing to the table, right? It really is your brain and your body and your feelings all at once. That is the bag of tools that you are bringing to a situation where you need to self-regulate or manage a conflict. And so you need to be able to manage that well. And if you are not regulated yourself, you are not likely to navigate a conflict or a stress situation in a regulated manner. Because the tool that you're using is not that it's broken, but it's off kilter. It's not calibrated, right? So here's how it works. It starts with a pause. Stop reacting. Don't text back immediately. Don't fire off that email. Don't correct your partner mid-sentence. Suspend the response and just take a pause and listen and be in the moment. And if you can, even be aware of what's going on with my body, what's going on with my feelings at the moment. That pause interrupts your nervous system's autopilot, your defense mechanism, your default mechanism. It suspends it, right? Second, regulate. Shift your body before your brain. So take a physiological sigh. And what that is you breathe in through your nose fully. And right when you think you have no more air left to breathe in, you take a little snort, a little breathe in through the nose just to fill out those extra air sacs in your lungs. And then you exhale slowly through your mouth with pursed lips as if you're breathing through a straw. Do that 3 times. So it's in, one small little inward, and then out. I know that doesn't translate so well on audio, but you get the picture. The physiological sigh is proven to drop carbon dioxide levels and calm your nervous system within seconds. Another little trick to regulate, most of us, when we start feeling tense and stressed and anxious, we clench our jaw. We tighten our jaw. Drop your jaw. So right now, I want you to do this. Just put your teeth together. Don't clench them. Just put your teeth together calmly. And now just drop your jaw as if you're losing all physical ability, right? As if your body is just going, not your whole body, but just your jaw. Let your jaw just naturally drop. When you do that, it forces your entire upper torso to relax for the moment, right? So again, physiological sigh and then dropping your jaw. Now, the problem with dropping your jaw is it's hard to do that in the midst of an argument because it looks like you're acting very strange, right? But if you have a moment, do the jaw drop, do the physiological sigh. So that's the second, regulate. The third is reflect. Once you are more calm, ask yourself, what's really happening here? Or I like to ask myself, how is this serving me? Or how is my response serving me right now? Am I triggered because of the moment or because of a memory? Am I triggered because of what's going on right now or because this reminds me of somebody or something from my past? What outcome do I actually want? Where do I want this to go? Do I want this to escalate to us throwing plates at each other or screaming? Or do I want this to go in a more productive direction? What would responding with strength, not ego, look like right now? This three-step process of pause, regulate, reflect really does transform reactivity into reflection. And then reflection translates into wisdom that you can use to move the relationship forward. So, another core aspect that I want to talk about today is what happens when leaders slow down. It's a funny thing. When leaders slow down, teams speed up. Let me talk about this for a minute. I once coached a CEO of a tech startup out in California who was stuck in constant crisis mode. He constantly was in this mode of how stressed he was, how busy he was, how he had to stay busy. He equated busy with effective and productive. Every meeting felt urgent. Every problem had to be solved immediately. His team was burning out, not because of workload, but because of his tempo. We started implementing strategic pauses. Before responding to a big decision, he'd say, let's take 24 hours to breathe, reflect, and revisit. And something crazy happened. Within weeks, his team reported feeling calmer, more confident. And here's the crazy part, more productive. They actually got more productive. By slowing the pace, he actually increased trust and efficiency. Why? Because reflection produces alignment, and alignment multiplies speed. When we are in alignment, everyone's rowing at the same pace in the same direction. If you ever saw the beginning of a rowing race on the river, you can see that, yes, they're trying to get into a flow, but they're really not moving all that effectively in the first 50 meters or so. They're moving, of course, but at some point, if you watch enough of these races, you will see a team that suddenly gets into perfect alignment in their rhythm, and watch how their speed takes off at that moment. Same thing here. As I often say to leaders that I coach, speed without strategy is just movement. Reflection turns that movement into momentum, and then it has a vector for direction. So what can you do in your daily life? I mean, these are great concepts, George, but like in my day-to-day life, whether I'm arguing with somebody at work or arguing at home or dealing with a disgruntled teen, whatever it may be, how can I bring this into my daily life and really, the way like James Clear talks about, turn it into an atomic habit? Well, here's the thing. You don't need a meditation retreat for 3 weeks to reclaim this skill. Not at all. Micro pauses woven into daily life are enough to rewire your stress response. And here are a few ways to start. One is the 3x3 rule. 3 times a day, pause for 3 breaths. Morning, midday, and before bed. It's short, but it's cumulative. 3 breaths in the morning, 3 breaths at lunch, 3 breaths before I go to bed. Yeah. But not only are you actually doing the breath work, you're taking mini pauses, micro pauses, but the other thing you're doing is you're starting to get into a habit of incorporating breath work, even though it's very minimal for now. You're incorporating it into a habit throughout your day. That's even more important than the actual breath work itself for the time being. Eventually, the breath work itself becomes the big part of it. But right now, I just want you to get into a habit of doing it. Second is the digital delay. What does that mean? When you feel the impulse to check your phone, wait 10 seconds. Force yourself to wait 10 seconds. That small act of restraint builds emotional control. It tells your brain, it's okay if I postpone that dopamine hit for 10 more seconds. I control my brain. My dopamine centers do not control me. And then, of course, the reflective response. In conversation, try this. When someone finishes speaking, wait 2 full seconds before responding. And that seems like a lot. For example, I'm talking right now, and that pause you just heard after I said the word "and" probably sounded a little weird, maybe a little awkward. You were probably waiting, where's he going? What's the next statement, right? That was a simple 2-second pause. It's going to feel like an eternity in the middle of an argument, but do it. Wait 2 full seconds before responding. It signals presence, and it prevents, or it limits, I should say, defensive replies. These micro pauses teach your nervous system that stillness is safe. And by doing these regularly, you're building it into a habit that you eventually will do automatically as a default response. It'll be built in. It'll be your automatic response as stress and tensions rise. And when stillness feels safe, reflection becomes possible. And that's what we want to get to. So with that mention of stillness, let me talk about the strategic value of stillness, because this is not talked about nearly enough in our social media discourse, our regular life discourse. I don't even think coaches and therapists talk enough about this. Some do, of course, but not enough. And here's the thing. High performers often see slowing down as weakness. But in truth, it's the highest form of discipline. The pause is where insight lives. I'm going to say that again. The pause is where insight lives. Think of insight as if you were developing an old film in the pan of film solution, and you're shaking it gently, and that insight is slowly coming into frame. It's slowly coming into focus. You can't rush that process. You need to have time and a certain degree of pause in order for that to come to the front. That's what we want with insight as well. It's where emotion cools, creativity returns, and intuition becomes audible again, meaning we could hear our own intuitive voice guiding us on the next course of action. Without that, we just recycle the same patterns faster and faster. It's almost like we're on a treadmill, like a gerbil or a hamster on a treadmill, just going around and around and around. But there's no ability for insight and processing because there's no reflection. Because reflection takes pause and it takes time. As I tell my coaching clients all the time, you can't out hustle your nervous system. Your nervous system fires at a rate way higher, way faster than your hustle will ever fire. You have to learn to lead it. And you start by slowing it down. The pause isn't the opposite of action, it's the precondition for intelligent action. And that's the key that you want to think about. All right. So if today's conversation hit home and you're ready to take that next step from insight to action, go check out my workbook, The Conflict Whisperer: From Conflict to Clarity. This isn't fluff. It is practical, no BS guidance designed to help you break the cycles of reactivity, build emotional strength, and navigate conflict with more confidence and less chaos. You will get hands-on exercises, over 75 of them, powerful frameworks, and mindset shifts that I use in my coaching practice. I use it myself as well every day, from high-achieving executives to people just trying to hold their personal lives together. This stuff changes lives. It's available now on Amazon. You can't miss it. It's the only book that's black. It says The Conflict Whisperer. It's got two hands holding an orange-colored daisy. There's nothing else like it. It'd be easy to find. I'll drop the link in the show notes as well. The Conflict Whisperer: From Conflict to Clarity. As always, thank you for being here, for doing the work, and for choosing to be the calm in the storm. Now, your call to action. Insight without action changes nothing. If you're ready to turn awareness into movement and stress into strategy, coaching can be the catalyst. And make no mistake, coaching will change you. Reach out to set up a free consultation. You can find me at www.theunstressedexec.com or on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as The Unstressed Exec. Let's create real momentum starting now. Until next time, I'm Dr. George Vergolias, The Unstressed Exec. Thanks for listening. See you soon. And remember, shift happens.